Hi everybody. Since my book Kissing Girls on Shabbat came out in 2024, I've been getting so many beautiful messages from people who are so inspired by my story. And some people are saying to me, I don't know how you did that. You changed your whole life, and I don't think I'm brave enough to do what you did. And I understand why people can see my story and see where I started and where I ended up and say, that's intimidating. Because you know what? A book is a condensed version of someone's life, and I'm here to let you in behind the scenes and tell you, as a trauma therapist, as a person who's survived trauma, what it actually takes to shift from point A to wherever I am now. When I was 32 years old, I started to realize that I needed to come out of the closet. And that's the point at which Kissing Girls on Shabbat ends. And that's what the news articles are showing you. You'll see like this before and after. This girl in a Hasidic wedding dress, and then this confident woman out of the closet, tattooed in New York City. What they don't show you, I started to make my way out very gently. I would go and drive from Long Island into Manhattan for the day. And I would download a dating app, a gay dating app. I would start swiping under an assumed identity, different picture, different name. And I would talk to women on the dating app, and I would feel like, oh my God, this is the life I need to be living. I can't be in this heteronormative whitewashed closet on Long Island. But at the end of that day, I would delete my profile, take the app off my phone, drive back out to where I lived on Long Island. But I still appeared straight on the outside for an additional several years, not months, but years. It was 2022 before I finally came out for real in a public, irrevocable, like just in the New York Times Modern Love column that I wrote called Please God Help Me Stop Missing Her. At that point, it was 2022, I was out. I was out in a way that I couldn't go back in. As a trauma therapist, I think there are three main things that hold us back and that make this process so painstakingly slow. The first, and the one I work with most primarily in my office, is the neurobiology of trauma. Myself, when I was in my high control group, and so many other people who are in spaces like that, what they're experiencing is adrenal and cortisol floods to their body. Their bodies are in fight, flight, freeze, fawn reactions. They're not thinking with their prefrontal cortex all the time because their amygdalas are overactivated with fear and just trying to survive. The amount of excruciating work it takes to get someone's body and nervous system to safety can be extremely intimidating and sometimes expensive and inaccessible to everybody. And so the point of me telling you this, if you're stuck and you're feeling like you're not being brave enough, cut yourself some slack. You might be just trying to work to get from day to day. Reason number two, real pragmatic concerns. We undervalue this. The media sells us vibes and manifestation, but you know what? You can't just walk out of your life, your job, or your relationship. Sometimes there are real pragmatic things keeping you there. I had children. I had to worry about their safety. I had to build my financial resources for the legal battle it would require for me to leave my situation. If you're in a miserable relationship and you're reading a meme online that says, just dream about living your best life and you'll get there, you might feel really inadequate and bad about yourself. But you know what? Cut yourself some slack there too as well. And allow yourself to look at what is the real thing, the pragmatic thing that's keeping me stuck. What can I identify? Do I need this person, this job, to pay my rent, to feed my children, to get me to the next year of like finishing grad school before I can make a change? Okay, reason number three, the third thing that holds people back, and is the reason why you might be feeling inadequate and stuck where you are, is that we need to look at change as a process. Prochaska and DiClemente, you'll see their stages of change chart. They talk about pre-contemplation, the stage before you think about changing. Contemplation, when you start thinking about changing. And then there's the beginning of change. There's the relapse back, falling back to where you used to be. This model was developed for addiction. I'm going to modify it for you over the next few weeks on here and talk about it in a trauma-focused way. There are stages. We need to give ourselves the time and space to say, what is working about my life? What isn't working? Am I brave enough to try to take one small step? I'll take that one small step. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I need to adjust my strategy and take a different small step. So seeing it as a change model that requires patience and time, it can release so much pressure, and it does for so many of my clients. Here's our listener question. I have identified as a lesbian for 3 years. Took my heart and soul to come out and shatter the cages of compulsory heterosexuality. I've been able to feel physical attraction to men, but never romantic feelings, and nothing close to what I feel for women. Suddenly, I have a crush on a man. I'm stuck in between two worlds. I know torn, conflicted feelings very, very, very well. And what I'm going to tell you, dear questioner, is it is going to take a little bit of time. And I want you to think about really what you're saying. You've lived in a world, most of the things you've seen on media growing up are hetero, men and women in love, movies about that is the love story. What is your wedding dress going to look like? Probably most of the grown-ups in your life when you were a child were straight couples. You had to fight your way out of that and learn that yes, it was okay to be with a woman and to be queer. And now you're facing another giant shift. You're realizing, first of all, which is really brave, I think, that you have feelings for a man. We already know, you've shown us that you have what it takes to change. We already know that you have the guts, you have the brains, like you have the heart, and you have the courage. You're looking at this situation. Don't expect yourself to come back to like this idea of heteronormativity. You're going to come at it with a new evolved sense of who you are. The you that's falling in love with a man now is not the same you that would have done that 3 years ago before you took this journey. So you want to give yourself time and space to have your new identity align with the feelings you are having now. I think in general in the world, it's important for us to look at context. So many of us expect ourselves to reach these milestones, one after the other, go, 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 go. But look at the world we're living in today. My daughter's at college in Charleston, and she just told me this morning, ICE is in Charleston. And I could see the fear in her eyes, like she has friends that she loves in Charleston who are not white. There's this feeling of like, I'm terrified. What if I get stopped? What if no one even asks me what my citizenship is when I get stopped? So many people are living with even like greater fears around that. This affects all of us. When we live in a culture where unpredictable things can happen, where at any moment the rules can change, the laws can change, we all have elevated adrenal cortisol responses to things like that. And so if we can recognize that stress in general may give us less bandwidth for personal growth, that'll also lead us to say, how can I support myself through this, rather than why am I not there yet? Stay tuned, because I'll be doing a deep dive into how do you get from where you are now to where you want to go, but keeping in mind like what the world is like, what your stress level is like, and also how much compassion is required of us, how much compassion we need to have for ourselves in order to make true, lasting, aligned shifts within our bodies. Post your questions below. I want to be in conversation with you. I want this to be a back and forth, not just me speaking at you. So tell me what resonated, what you're wondering about, and I'll get into it.